You see, when we meditate, when we develop our mind, sometimes we got to use a lot of tactics. For example, we encounter with all these hindrances, right? The mind always like to give a lot of excuse to call it the nirvana, the hindrances for us, for our mind to develop a state of concentrations. You always say, don't need this and don't need that. A lot of excuse. And you always want to get involved with things that doesn't pertain to the destruction of our defilements. Is only increasing. So you must be careful when we develop this mind. And we got to throw in the right questions. Why? The mind is heading toward this direction. And why? Why this and why that? In order to solve our own problems. The fire that's flaring in our heart, that's burning us. It's not burning anybody else. Ourselves is the one that get burned. That's why when we meditate, if we see the mind keep zooming externally, we got to bring him back. And sometimes it's not only suppressing or put hold. No, sometimes we got to think. We got to think. We got to contemplate thoroughly what is the cause. Go into the root of the problem. Why? We got to find the cause. And the cause is because why? Our ignorance, our unknowingness, our mindfulness not fast enough to address. And the mind has zoomed into this, what we call it, sankhara, formations of the thoughts. And the make-believe of this content of the thought that cause us this mass of suffering in our own mind. That's why when we say they contemplate, certain people, they don't contemplate. They say, why should we contemplate? We're not supposed to think when we meditate. Then you are wrong, right? We understand the method wrongly. Some people, they doesn't think. They say, we just observe and then everything is anicca, dukkha, anatta. Who say anicca, dukkha, anatta? Have you ever looked at this one? Who say? We just aware. And who say? What is called mental formation? What is called the five khandhas? This is very, very important in the development of our own mind, so that we can understand our mind state thoroughly, come in contact with all circumstances, how your mind reacts, how the mind develops, and why the mind arises this kind of ill mental state. Why? And how to address it. How fast the kind of shrewdness to develop, the kind of sharpness, the awareness. It's very important. If you're not observant in our developments, then we will judge by the motion of doing it, that's all. And then we said, we're developing our mind. We're sitting, we can sit for a long hour, blah, blah, blah. But the defilement is brewing inside there, inside our own mind, waiting for the opportunity to explode the nirvana, the hindrances. And of course, the hindrances don't only come when we meditate, sitting or walking. No, it comes in our daily life encounterment with all the issues in our life. You see how this defilement present itself. So clearly we look at, this is defilement. We know, this is defilement. These are the defilement coming up. And how to do about it. And then when we come and meditate, we will contemplate. And this is how we're able to maintain the stand when we meditate, so that we don't keep spending time trying to do away all this unwholesome thought, so that our mind can come to a state of calmness. If we keep maintaining from the minute we wake up, right, you look after your own mind, intact, or just be mindful, just be aware, just keep checking, just keep knowing. Then you see the difference is totally different. Then lacking the mind, having all this formation that comes out and manage through all these undisciplined thoughts. When we look at this, then we can understand, okay, how to do about it next time, And this is what we call bhavana, developments of the mind, right? And slowly, hurdles after hurdles, problem after problem, we work through all these things slowly, and this is how we progress. The more we look into it, the more you find the lightness of your mind. You see how the cleaning of the thoughts in our mind mentally. The minute we see through, we understand. The minute you see how you detach this attachment of the thoughts in your mind, there's moment of lightness that appear in your mind. You can feel it, pop, lightness. Okay. The next time okay, it's here. You don't have to solve outside already. It's inside you, inside our own mind. Every time you look at it, you just focus inward, focus inward. Then we don't have time for other things, You are not that we don't want to help other people. We will still help. But most of the time we're focusing inward. And you will be very centered, very firm, very established. You won't be easily moved by external things. Even though you involve, you still have your anchor point. You still have what we call a point of reference. They will be dragged away or be influenced easily by external things. And whatever people say, whatever people think, comment, it's just a sound, but it doesn't enter your heart. Just look at it. You just don't get involved. Just look at it and that's it. And you feel free. You feel free, right? You feel so free, so at ease that you are alone in the whole world, but you're still staying with the whole world. But you're alone. Because why? To each their own karma, to each your own karma. You see that this mental moment, the minute you latch on, pop, become a fire straight away. It becomes a fire. And look, the minute we focus it again and again and again and again until you don't have any doubts. You got to do. Right? If you don't do, no one can do for us. Okay? And there will be the sharing. You see, we stay in a society, nowadays, our society, the mainstream of society is all this unwholesome thing. Most of the things are full of wrong views. They encourage a lot of violence, a lot of wrong views, things that's immoral have become the mainstream, and that's why the whole society turning topsy-turvy because of the defilement of our mind. Love that. The mind loves all this kind of unwholesome thing. Thing that's wholesome, thing that's good, people don't like because it's not interesting. So, where should we go from here? A lot of people is in the dilemma because there's a conflict of views, a conflict of what things should be. And that is the problem of mankind. But if we have our standpoint, we take the Dhamma as our teacher, we take our Dhamma as our compass point, the direction of approach, then we will definitely meet up with peace, prosperity. Definitely. Because why? When the Buddha encouraged us to do good, it was through his whole many lifetime accumulation of doing good. It has been tested by himself, not through books, In the Jakarta story, when the Buddha was a bodhisattva, going through all kinds of lifestyle, all kinds of experiences that he had been through, right? It was recorded, and it was tasked, being encouraged that we, human beings, if we were to take the Buddha Dhamma as our guideline, then you will be safe. But if you were to take the worldly as our guideline, then there'll be a lot of troubles. Because the worldly is based on what? It's based on majority. It's based on the liking of majority. We call it democratics. And the liking of the majority is based on what? It's based on greed. It's not Dharma, it's greed. And someone is greedy, when things is not in line with what they want, what happens? They get very angry. And when anger arises, what happens? They got diluted, blackout. And this is what happened. This is what happened to Melbourne. When people's expectation is not met, they'll be very angry. When they get angry, they get blackout. They can't think. When they can't think, someone come and instigate something and poof, there you go. And this is what happened. So remember that if we were to take the Buddha Dhamma to live a moral lifestyle, you don't worry. You're sure to make with happiness. But if you were to take the worldly things, you see what happened? And they call it human right. But of course, they really have human right. They really have their own body, their right. And what happened? When you're at the hospital, who treat you? When you got problem, who help you? So there's a conflict in views, a conflict. And nowadays, all this information can be obtained easily in the internet. And there's so many pros and cons informations of how things should be. And that's why we call it the conflict of view. But if you were to stay outside the conflict of this view, we look at it at the worldly problems of human beings fighting each other because of what we call it, their rights, their views to be recognized, the views to be accepted by the mainstream. And it was not heard. And that's why this is what happened. And of course, if we say that we just keep quiet and look at the whole thing and say, this is a bunch of useless people not there to speak up. It's not that we don't speak up. What for you speak up? Are you in a position to speak up? If you speak up, nobody cares. So what for? It's better to stay silent. And you got nothing to lose. You stay silent. You just move along. No one going to control you. No one going to stop you from taking your food. No one from stopping you from going to the shopping center, walk in the park, or your daily life. No one, right? So you see this problem of our mind. This is what we call mana titi, ditti, woman. We call it pride, ego. So remember, when we stay in this world, we must know how to stay in the world wisely, smartly, and morally. Then you don't have problem. You don't have problem because we know how to differentiate. Even though we'll be mixing with a group of people who are not so moral, we still can stay with them. They are immoral people, but they are good companions. They are kind people. Yes, their behavior may be not so in line with our Buddhist requirement, but they are good people. They are kind people. Is that they don't precept. They have havoc. They are very immoral. But that's the problem. But we mix with these people. We mix with them, stay with them. They are good company, but we don't behave like them. Just like your working place. Some people in a working place are very religious. They always go to temple, go to church, and help people. But some people every day talk about gambling, go to bar, go to drinking, havoc, flick around. Every day just that. So how are you going to stay? Are you going to run away? No. You must stay. But you don't behave like them. That's all. And you look at the reflections, their lifestyle, the kind of so-called suffering they've been through, which they doesn't know is suffering. But they say it's enjoyment. 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, haven't sleep. 7 o'clock go to work. And they say they enjoy. What kind of enjoyment is that? When you go to work, you can't even deliver your job. Sleepy, can't concentrate, and in the end, ended up have accident or problem in the machine. So, you see, this is human problem. Why we want to have this kind of sharing every day? Because it gives you a piece of thought, words of advice that we've been through in life. So this is part and parcel of life that we've got to go through. So remember, always take the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha as your guideline. So your life will be met with peace, happiness, and prosperity. There was an incident that happened in Finland recently. At first, the lay people was very enthusiastic and have a lot of faith, want to set up a temple. And in fact, I was invited to this temple during the Vasa. I went there for 7 days. And everything was doing well. And things is not well now. the owner of the land have a fallout with the monks over certain issue. And decided to kick out the monk, chase the monk away. And his visa was under this lady's sponsorship, house also under her name, everything under her name. But building or expenses is from the money from the public. So the reason why I want to bring this thing is when we want to give something, when we want to offer, make sure you transfer the name so that you don't have this kind of things backfire us in the later stage. Because you're dealing with a Sangha. Sangha is not our Sangha now, Sangha during the Buddha's time สงฆ์ของพระพุทธเจ้าในอดีตปัจจุบันเนี่ยอนาคตเนี่ยอริยสงฆ์เนี่ยเล่นกันยังไง When you talk about the Sangha, this is a member of the Sangha. And this monk will kick out like a football like that. Out he goes. Very beautiful. But I also got good news. You see, the temple that we established in Sweden was prospering because why? Even though our monk there can't speak Swedish or what, but the actions speak louder than word. The neighborhood are very impressed. The monk walked 19 kilo for the Bindabat. And of course, when they come back, they take bus or sometimes let people fetch them back. And because of their persistent effort in what they are doing, they are able to, create a kind of awareness for the local that, why this monk must walk so far for what? And one day they stopped by. They asked the monk, where are you going? I go to look for food. Chinatown can't speak. Food, look for food. Look for food? So far? Oh, yeah. And he pitied the monk. You see, this Swedish guy went to a grocery shop, get a lot of dry ration and give it to the monk and fetch the monk back to the temple. You see, this is how a missionary monk should behave. Because if you look into a lot of history in the past, all these great teachers, how they sacrifice, they do the same thing. You look at Long Po Man, when he was in the hill tribe got no belief at all. And Long Po Man got to go there, and tell them to put rice, and they only give, like just now, garlic and salt and onions, that's all. No, nothing. It was very primitive. And because of the persistence of Long Po Man, the way he practiced, because he's emphasized a lot on what? Meditations. And the hill tribes doesn't know about meditation. So they come to Long Po, and Long Po Man was walking meditations. Do his walking meditation. He asked Long Po Man, Long Po, what are you looking for? Oh, I lost my put toe. Help me to find my put toe. Huh? Where is it? I don't know. Help me to find. So everybody, a lot of hill tribes also begin to walk with put toe. Everybody was put toe, look for put toe. So they put toe. Finally, the mind come to a state of concentration. And they realize that, they found put toe. It's actually the calm state of mind. You see, we don't need to explain a lot of explanation or read books to these people. Simple things, put toe. And this is how a lot of Kuba Ajahn, they never care to learn language or what. They say, don't worry, just go and practice. When time is up, the help will come by themselves. And it's true. It's true. This is something very inspiring. This is something is no time limit. There's no time frame. When you're truthful to the practice, you're truthful to Dhamma, the Dhamma will always protect you. Remember, the Dhamma will always protect those who protect the Dhamma. And just like last week, the same date, they have this Pakpa. Chandam says that he didn't expect to have about maybe 150 or more people to attend the Pakpa. He never expected that also. He thought that maybe those few people who like come and give food will come, and then wow, so many people. The 2 acres of land filled with people. He got a shock. He said, wow, he didn't expect all these people come from so far. They come and participated. So I asked him, did you ask the people for the Pakpa? Oh, no. They come and suggest to me, Ajahn, you want to Pakpa ma hai na? The Ajahn said, oh, okay, why not? And that's it. And they do it very simple. Everybody participated. Everybody was very happy. And that should be the way, right? If you do the thing rightly, we don't have to explain so much. A lot of people will know by themselves. They see, they have eyes to see, they have eyes to observe, they have the brain to think about it, and they will support you. Okay? And they'll be sharing. So when we talk about mental developments, we talk about this restraint. We got to instill mindfulness every time when there's certain defects. Maybe we don't know our own defects, but we have good companions. They have the goodwill to point out to us, and we hear the advice. Then there is a hope that we will progress in our mental developments, because there's only true happiness that you can find within yourself. Other than that, externally, this worldly thing, like the Buddha say, is worldly, is full of sadness, full of uncertainty. And when your mind gets attached to all this uncertainty in life, we ended up with what? Disappointment, pain, regret. But if we hold on to the Dhamma, the teaching of the Buddha, we look at the truth of reality, then we see, oh yeah, this is what's happening. And the more we contemplate into what has been said, the more we contemplate into what is around us, your body, your feelings of the body, the mind state that is surfacing, everything we do, everything we come in contact, it just passes by. Nothing just sustained. Even sustained is temporary and it goes off again. Nothing is left. It's just a memory. And that's all. And we were to hold to this memory and keep thinking about the whole thing. It's just a repetition of like a video. That's all. This is what the whole human existence is all about. It's hopeless. We look at the whole thing, oh, then we talk about mankind. What kind of mankind is that? It's full of suffering, real suffering. But of course, if we say that, then people say, oh, you are anti-social. It's a social society. We cannot think of this. This is very negative. This is anti-social ethics. No, this is reality. We still got to live in the world, but we are not crazy like the world. I use the word crazy because the whole world is crazy. They run after all these sensuals, attachment, the bodily feeling attachment. We keep running after all these things. And when we meditate, we see the suffering that causes by this attachment, by this craving. That's why we want to live simply. But the minute we live more simple, the more clearly we can look at our own mind because we are less involved with the world. Then we have more time to look into our own mind, how our mind protrude out to get involved with external thing and how this external thing make our mind cloudy, blackout with all these emotional encounterments. And this is how detrimental it can be. The more we practice, the more we look at the world, oh, it's really not a place worthwhile to attach with. Even this body that we bear, we can't even bring along, not to say the world externally. When we talk about helping the world, who are we helping? We're helping a being that is dying. It's better that we meditate. And when people come, we help how to make them see the truth. That's more important. Because external thing, oh, a lot of people can do. Like I say, domestic thing, all these things. But meditations, mental development is something no one can help us. We got to do it ourselves. If we don't do it ourselves, who will do it for us? Next lifetime, are you sure? Are we sure? Next lifetime we come back as a human being? Why don't we come back as a cat, as a dog, as a horse or something else? We cannot deny. Because the Buddha ever said, if you never reach Sotapanna, there's the possibility you'll become any kind of beings. Go to hell, go to heaven, come back to God, come back as a human being. And this is the cycle of birth, aging, illness, and death it's all about. It sounds quite demoralizing, but this is the truth. We don't want to run away from the truth. We want to face it so that we have the challenge, the courage to push ourselves towards this deliverance of our own mind. Because if we don't do it, who do it? Who do it? No agent will help us. Even the Buddha's time, the Buddha can't even help some monk who want to meditate. Because why? Cause condition not ripen. The Buddha cannot help you. But if you don't create a cause and condition, not diligent in pushing yourself towards your own mind, then no one can do about it. So we got to be looking at ourselves, how old are we now and how many years are we sure that we will be in this world any more longer? Definitely not more than 100 years, everybody on earth. And not more than 100 years. But within this very short period of times, we got to buy the time and do it. Right? And that'll be the sharing for today. Yatha varivaha pura paripurenti sakarang eva beva nito tina petana upakapatit ichita badita dumha kipameva samichatu sape purentu sankapa Chanto panaraso yatha manicho diraso yatha Tiya vivajantu samaro govina sadumade bhava vandarayo sukhi digayo go bhava viva Tanasile sanicang buddha Vajayino cakaro dhamma Tanti ayuhano sukhang Alaya samipade se kapete vasa parita jatiyo Sila vadeta mochetava sanyate brahmacharino ยาดาตาเดวตาสุนตาสาดากินามาเดเสตาปุจิตาปุจายันติมาริตามานายตินังตาโตนังอนุกัมปันติมาตาพุทธาวราสังเทวตานุกัมปิโตโกโสสัตตบารานิปัสสติภวตุสาพมังคลังราคะโดสาบเดวตาสัพพพุทธานุภาเวนะสดาโสติภวันตุเตภวตุสาพมังคลังราคะโดสาบเดวตาสัพพธัมมานุภาเวนะสดาโสติภวันตุเตภวตุสาพมังคลังราคะโดสาบเดวตาสัพพสังฆานุภาเวนะสดาโสติภวันตุเต